Hi, welcome to the Whiska Chicks podcast. My name is Amy.
And I'm Amy's sister, Suzie.
We are going to be talking to you about Whiska Chicks. You may ask yourself, what in the world is a Whiska Chick? Well, it's a term our Nana, our grandmother, used to describe anything and everything, like a doodad or a thingamajig.
For our purposes today, Amy and I have framed Whiska Chicks as those random moments in life that accumulate over time that compel us to grow, learn, and evolve. Whether it's good, bad, ugly, funny, or sad, with each Whiska Chick comes a lesson, an aha moment, a lotus blooming from the mud and muck, resulting in wisdom and healing.
Whiska Chicks have brought us both to a place in our lives where we love ourselves and speak our truths. The last thing Nana said to me before she passed on was, "Be true to yourself, little A." That was the nickname she had for me. The angel spoke straight through her in that moment, and I knew I had quite a journey ahead of me. It was that Whiska Chick, the last Whiska Chick she delivered, that set me off on an incredible growth journey. She is the force behind this creative endeavor. We dedicate every Whiska Chick to her. We're grateful you're here.
Hello, everybody, and welcome back to the Whiska Chicks podcast. I'm Suzie.
And I'm Amy.
And here we are, episode 18? 18?
Holy
I believe.
crud.
I know. We got the notification today that we hit 500 downloads, and I nearly hit the deck. I just texted you and said, boom!
I know. So thank you all for listening. I mean, we're so grateful. I mean, it's so awesome to have hit that milestone. It's super gratifying. So thank you.
Yeah, I mean, I don't even really have words other than thank you. We'll just keep it simple like that. So today we're going to talk about Pooh. No, but not. I know we've already talked about Pooh in another podcast. We got the Pooh as in Winnie the
as in
Pooh. Winnie the Pooh. So those of you that know Amy and I personally know that, well, I love Disney, but for you, Amy, it is like a part of past life, soul, all that stuff. Like you and Disney are something, and we knew this was coming, that it was going to be brought up in a podcast that, you know, we're going to out you about your Disney-ness. But
yeah, Walt is a spirit guide since I was a child, and Mickey Mouse is one of my spirit animals. So, but I'm all about vintage Disney. So I love vintage Pooh.
I haven't heard of that kind of Pooh. I'm just kidding.
I wonder if it's healthy. I wonder if you take a good probiotic, you get vintage Pooh.
Right. So Walt Disney created a barrage of characters for his work. I don't even know how to, I mean, saying his work seems like it's downplaying it, but I feel like every character has some sort of special meaning for something, either him or someone in his life, something he was inspired by. But you know, we could talk for hours about all the different Disney characters, but today we're focusing on Winnie the Pooh.
I just want to interject here just for a moment. Yes, Walt created a lot of characters, but he did not create Winnie the Pooh and all the 100 Acre Woods and all of his friends. So one thing, Walt was a storyteller, and even though he created the classic characters, Mickey, Minnie, Goofy, Pluto, Donald, Daisy, and he did create on his own a barrage of characters, as you say, a lot of the characters he brought to life from stories. And so the Winnie the Pooh characters were brought to life from the A.A. Milne book series on Winnie the Pooh and Christopher Robin and all of his friends. So we associate Winnie the Pooh with Disney because Disney was the one that, Walt was the one that brought the A.A. Milne stories to life. And for many, many years, you know, Disney had rights to the Pooh characters, and that actually went away about a year ago. So now they no longer hold the right to the characters. So But anyway, I just wanted to stick that in there. So even though we associate the Pooh characters with Disney, they A. Milne was the one that wrote the stories.
Okay. I associate everything with Pooh. Just kidding. I know. I can't help. I can't
Pooh
help
is relatable in more ways than one.
Pooh, Winnie the Pooh.
And even though we're going to focus on Pooh today, I just have a quick. I'm sorry,
I can't help it.
I have a quick story to kind of set us rolling here. I was at Disneyland. Surprise, surprise. What's that lady? Surprise, surprise. I'm not anyone asked me to sing.
Don't.
Anyway, I know. I was at Disneyland one day and I was over in Frontierland, and this was a few years back, and there was a guy there. His name was oh God. Freddie the Fiddler. I'm so bummed. I can't remember. I think it was Freddie the Fiddler. Anyways, he was at Disney for 30 plus years, walking around Frontierland in a cowboy outfit, playing a fiddle, cracking jokes, interacting with people. And I was in the Pioneer Mercantile one day, which is it's in Frontierland across from the shooting gallery. And it has, all kinds of clothing and hats and whatnot. And there's a couple of tourists, clearly did not speak English, but one of them was dressed in Pooh gear from top to bottom, including a hat that had Winnie the Pooh's head on it. She was wearing it, of course, on her head, but she basically was wearing a Pooh hat, right? So Freddie the Fiddler comes up to her, and God, I'm going to kick myself if it's not Freddie, but he comes up to her, and I was shopping, and I was right there, and he goes, "Excuse me, ma'am," and she just looked at him, and he goes, "Do you know that you have Pooh on your head?" And she just looked at him and stared at him. He's like, "You don't understand me, do you?" And she just looked at him, and I hit the floor. I was laughing so hard. He looked at me and he's like, "Thank you." Because the joke, it was a location joke. He had to be there. But it was so funny, especially because she just didn't understand what he said to her. So anyway, "Excuse me, ma'am, do you have Pooh on your head?" So anyway,
I love that.
I know.
I would have laughed.
It was a cute story. He has since retired. He retired a couple of years ago. It was so sad. We miss him.
Even if they didn't speak English, I would be like, Pooh, Pooh, Pooh on your head. It's funny, Pooh. Ah.
So now, anyway, we can talk about why Pooh is so special and why he resonates with the Whiskey Chicks podcast.
Yeah. So several years ago, I think it was that long ago. I remember I was going through kind of like a rough patch with like a relationship that wasn't working out and not happy with work status. I found out my dog was, not going to live much longer and stuff like that. And anyway, the subject of what we're going to talk about, this book came up, and I bought it and read it, and I was like floored by not only how relatable it is, because Pooh and I have a lot in common because we have like the same body type, but
oh my God, wait, it's Farley the Fiddler. Sorry, I had to get that in there. Farley the Fiddler. Okay, continue.
Oh my God,
I wasn't going to sleep tonight until I got that right. Okay, go.
But anyway, you have this book that we're going to talk about, and you recommended. Did you send this to me?
I did.
Yeah, you did send it to me. And I mean, it's not a big book. It's not like you sit down and read it for days. Like, you could read it in a couple of hours easily, if that. But I opted to just read it like a chapter at a time because of what like the content of the chapters were. And I have to be honest with you, this has become like one of my favorite books because it's not like a spirit book written by, Louise Hay or Wayne Dyer or anything like that. Like, this is it hits close to the heart and soul because it's Winnie the Pooh.
Yeah, it's actually written by Dr. Joseph Parent and Nancy Parent. And so they are, I think, Dr. Joseph Parent is a He's a psychologist.
Are you trying to look that up right now?
I am, so talk while I look.
We're so prepared here at Whiska Chicks.
But we don't prepare. That's our charm. That's what makes
totally
us
part of our charm.
Oh wait, he's a world-renowned expert in performance psychology, working with athletes, actors, artists, and executives. He's a master instructor in the mindfulness tradition in the lineage of the great Tibetan meditation teacher Venerable Shogyam.
Don't hurt yourself.
Trungpa.
Nag Champa.
Anyway, so he's a specialist in mindfulness. So as you can see, that's why Pooh is such a great subject for him to express mindfulness through.
He's got poo on his mind.
Not just on his head, it's in his mind.
Oh my God. So anyway, this book is called A Walk in the Wood, Meditations on Mindfulness with a Bear Named Pooh. And it's
our favorite word.
Pooh. It's got a nice little red ribbon thing that runs through it so you can bookmark things, and it almost it almost reads like the font and stuff for like a children's book. It's not like a small print hard to read book that I stated before would take you forever. Literally it's just keep it out, and mine is always visible so I can pick it up and read it. But it's broken up into chapters in a sense.
They're more like entries.
They are. They're entries
because they're only a couple pages.
Yeah, and that's why I opted to just do it on a daily versus sitting down and read the whole thing through, because I think when I do that, read one thing at a time, I spend the day focusing or being aware of what was mentioned in that chapter. So
you let Pooh get into your head, and you channel your inner Pooh all day.
Totally. So anyway, I know I said I didn't want to know which chapter you earmarked, but the chapter that resonates the most with me, that really starts, square one for me, was chapter 8. Was that the one you picked?
No, I picked chapter 3 only because in each of, not chapters, but I guess they do call them chapters.
That's say chapter.
Yeah, they do call it chapter. I picked 3. So each of the chapters has a quote in red that pops out, and I picked mine based on the quote, not on the chapter itself, but just based on the quote, because it's such a simple but very powerful quote, Pooh quote. So anyway,
are you gonna read it?
Yeah, I'll read it. It's: the past is history, the future's a mystery. Being here and now is a precious gift. That's why they call it the present.
You know what? Okay, here's what's funny. I thought you were talking about the opening blurb where it says chapter 3. You're reading a quote from inside the chapter, and
yep.
And truthfully, that Pooh and Eleanor Roosevelt have something in common, which is Eleanor Roosevelt says, yesterday is history, tomorrow's a mystery, today's a gift, that's why they call it the present. Kind of along the same lines.
So it wasn't a Pooh quote. It says Pooh brought to mind one of his favorite sayings. Okay. So he's probably quote, but I love that saying. And it's very Pooh-like.
Or if you're me and you have a more mind of funny, I'm if you have one foot in tomorrow and one foot in yesterday, you piss on today.
Pooh didn't say that, did he?
No, I said it now.
Oh, okay.
But so I chose chapter. So at the beginning of a chapter, there's a little thing that kind of just I don't know, it describes what the chapter's about, but so I thought it was interesting that I picked chapter 8 because it's like the number for infinity, right? And but chapter 8 is you have everything you need, and then it just has 3 small paragraphs. And this is like, if I read this every day, which maybe I'll start doing now, oh how, more mindful I would be. But anyway, it says one of the primary principles of the mindfulness tradition is that the true nature of human beings is basic goodness, the simple appreciation of being alive. It is a perspective of richness and wholeness, that nothing in our fundamental being is flawed or missing. Mindfulness helps us recognize basic goodness as our own nature and develop unconditional confidence. I love that term, unconditional confidence. And then the red quote from that is, "Oh, Piglet, you can do it. There's really nothing to it. You have everything you need. I'm quite certain you'll succeed." So that's the kind of stuff that this book has in it. And I'm telling you, like, it's so funny. Like, you don't think, hey, Winnie the Pooh's going to change my life, right? Meditations and mindfulness.
Let's digress a little bit and talk about why Pooh, why Winnie the Pooh, why he's so special, and why his friends are so special, and just the stories in general, and how they're so simple, but they're so meaningful. I mean, Winnie the Pooh he just is so wise, but he's so simple in his simplicity, right? He's so wise in his simplicity, and his circle of friends all represent, so all of us can relate to one of the characters. I mean, you've got Eeyore, who's basically clinically depressed, but all of Pooh and all of his friends completely accept Eeyore for who he is, and Pooh cheers him up and just goes with him, and teaches him to go with the flow, and Piglet's just this little happy-go-lucky, he kind of keeps Pooh on track, questions Pooh, and Pooh thinks and responds, and Tigger is just a spaz attack, right? And they accept him for who he is. He's all over the place, so he's basically got ADHD. And it's and Rabbit is very anal, and so it's like all of these characters have such incredible personalities, and they all bring something different and fantastic to the group, to the story, but all the characters completely accept one another and embrace all of their differences. And that is such a powerful message for us today in this society, is just to embrace each other. And Pooh himself, in his ability just to really be in the moment, and so he makes mindfulness so simple. It is not a complicated thing at all, and we can learn a lot from Pooh and his friends.
Sorry, I'm over here trying not to laugh every time you say Pooh, because I'm into this conversation.
Because it's our favorite word.
I'm like, poo, 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 poo. All I hear is poo coming out of you, poo. But no, I agree with you. I mean, I think it's amazing that there's like this little community within that whole Pooh character storyline that represents like you say, all the different personalities. And because isn't there an owl too?
There's Owl. I didn't talk about Owl or Kanga and Roo. But
there's a lot going on. There's a lot going on.
There is. And but, Christopher Robin.
I gotta wonder what really is in Pooh's honey pot. Like, is that real honey? Like, maybe he's, I don't know. He's awfully like relaxed.
We all know how raw honey is good for us in so many ways. I mean, it's anti-inflammatory. Maybe that's it. He's so relaxed. He's got no inflammation in his body. He doesn't. He just is like, you know, his blood sugar's always high, probably. So that makes him a little tired and sleepy. I don't know.
I always relate to him when he's like, there's a grumbling in my tummy.
There's a
I can
grumbling
relate to
in my
that.
tummy.
Yeah. But yeah, I love Winnie the Pooh, and I feel like through the years I've been more than one Pooh character, because I'm not gonna lie, like I went through a very long period of time, probably most of my life, where people actually called me Eeyore. I was in a relationship for almost 7 years with someone that called me Eeyore.
I didn't know that.
Yeah. Very true. Well, look what happened there. We're not together anymore. So clearly that worked out. But, you have life experiences. But yeah, some people like I would, it's like your peers watch and listen to you, and I'd be saying something and someone would be like, boy, you sound like Eeyore. And I'm like, oh, okay. I don't know if it's my tone, because I do have a tone to my voice, but I didn't think it was, oh boy, I've lost my tail again. I didn't think I was doing that. But yeah, and I love that they live, they're out in nature, right?
The 100-acre wood.
They're out in the 100-acre wood, and I love that that's the backdrop for thinking about Pooh. That's the setting for this whole story for Pooh and friends.
And speaking of nature and a tree, I'm going to interject with a little quote from Piglet to Pooh. Piglet said, Piglet says to Pooh, supposing a tree fell down, Pooh, when we were underneath it. And then Pooh says, supposing it didn't. And Piglet was comforted by this. So Pooh is always the glass is half full rather than the glass is half empty.
Those honey pots half full.
Yeah. But I thought, that it's just it's such a simple thing. It's like, well, but why fear something that hasn't happened yet? And I think a lot of us spend a lot of time with that mentality, looking ahead to stuff that hasn't even happened.
Yeah, I mean, so what is that? Is it called the leaflet? Like what's on the inside of the jacket? That goes around what is that called? Is that the jacket?
It's the jacket. It's the jacket.
On the inside of this book, I'm not going to read the whole thing, but it sums up this book perfectly of why it's so amazing, and the first paragraph is that Meditations on Mindfulness with a Bear Named Pooh offers life lessons grounded in the simple act of slowing down, observing what is around us, and being present in our lives moment by moment. And, I just really feel like in the world we live in today, where, we get stuck in traffic, or we miss a red light, or we order something on Amazon and it doesn't come the next day. Like we're always like in this, we're like immediate gratification, like now, I want everything now, as opposed, and I feel like, as a society, we're starting to lose like the feeling of letting things just happen organically and being disconnected in the sense of, I mean, we grew up not having I remember when we got call waiting, that was like, oh my God, like we, growing up without cable television or cell phones, or, even having to,
we had to call the time lady for entertainment.
We had to call the damn time lady and then go around to every place in the house with a clock and flip it backward or forward. I mean, I'm so glad that I've lived in both stages of, or both, in those different time frames, because now I just feel like sometimes people get really lost in that slowing down and just being present and just like relax, just be. And that's what Pooh does. He just is what he is. and he walks around the 100-acre wood, and he forest bathes, and he looks at butterflies, and of course he's probably always looking for bees for honey. But he's available to his friends, and they gravitate toward him. And if someone's having an issue, like, he'll just spit out something that just like kind of smooths it all over and puts things into perspective. And so, truthfully, like, it's this book, I just really feel like, I just noticed this on the back of the book. Oh my God, Spirit's like, turn it over. It says, when we're grounded and at ease, we can wander where we please. With our senses as our guide, we can let our thoughts subside. And then while away the hours by the stream among the flowers. I love that.
I do too. And I'm going to interject with another Pooh quote because it's appropriate at this.
This moment is Pooh quote appropriate.
This quote is brought to you by Pooh. Okay. Pooh says,
I'll spat out my coffee.
Don't underestimate the value of doing nothing or just going along, listening to all the things you can't hear and not bothering. See? And Pooh, we all know one of Pooh's favorite sayings is, "Oh, bother."
Yeah, oh, bother. I'm going to use that at work. Someone's going to be like, "You're out of basil again?" I'm just going to be like, "Oh, bother." See, as Nana, one of my favorite things that Nana used to say to us, where I would be like, "Yeah, well, so-and-so said that to so-and-so," and then she would be like, "Well, I'll bet that went over like a lead balloon." That's
but we can learn so much from the silly old bear. We really can. He's so zen.
He really is. I mean, so for those of you, maybe, Amy and I, we're definitely leaving a trail of spirit tools for you to acquire as we talk about them in our podcast episodes. And I totally get it. Like, sometimes I have a hard time reading things that are get very like deep and almost existential, if I'm saying that word right. And but I feel like maybe that's why I love this book so much, because it's like it's in my mind realm of understanding, and it's even more relatable because you know and you love Winnie the Pooh. It's like a familiar thing. Like, it's Pooh is, he's guiding you through this book. And
yeah, and there's pictures and everything, classic Pooh pictures. I mean, it's very entertaining too. It's pleasant on the eyes,
I mean, if I had like a 10-year-old kid that wanted me to read it a bedtime story before bed, I would read quotes from this book and just brainwash the kid.
Totally.
I mean, I'm kind of joking, but I'm not. Because, the truth is, we can rewire our brains at any point in life. We just have to be open to doing it. And so, oftentimes it's when we are in, I guess, what you would call kind of a dark place or a dark night of the soul, where you kind of feel like you're at rock bottom. And books like this kind of, they shed light. They provide light, and definitely to reduce stress in the world that we're living in now. I can't meditate. I shouldn't say I can't. I have a very difficult time meditating. I know you, Amy, will sit in the lotus position and ohm yourself till the cows come home. But like, I have sat with someone in a guided meditation, and I think I did all right. It was when I was with our friend Tracy. Mm-hmm. I think I did all right, but she asked me to close my eyes and start visualizing things. And I swear to God, when people ask me to do that, I'm just like, I want a sandwich. I have like a really hard time like going to the spirit places, or just maybe kind of like letting go like that. Cause I have a very active imagination and mind, but I think I'm getting better at it. But
Pooh's a great place to start. You can meditate on Pooh.
Meditate while I poo with my squatty potty and
maybe
my
that should
walk
be
in the wood book.
maybe that should be the next poo book is meditate with poo and do like little poo meditations, like just a couple minutes on
I mean,
something.
you are releasing something anyway. You might as well incorporate some Winnie the Pooh mindfulness while you're at it.
What are you talking about? What are you, like on the toilet?
Isn't that what you were talking about?
No.
Oh,
I was
dear.
talking about actually trying to meditate, like start a practice with poo, like some poo thoughts.
Yeah, that's
and
what I was
meditate
talking
on
about
it for
too.
a couple minutes. I suppose you could do it while you're taking a poo. I mean, hopefully your poo is healthy enough that you're on and off quickly. But anyway,
'tis true. But anyway, well, should we end it? Should we call it?
and yeah. So,
let's end it.
Yeah.
That reminds me of that. God, here's a sidebar. That Bugs Bunny cartoon with the witch when she like runs away and all the bobby pins fly out of her hair. When she's like,
Yep.
She takes off. Yep. And there was the one cartoon with Hansel and Gretel. And they're like, Gretel. Yeah, they're like at the table, like shoving like food in their face.
Yeah,
and Bugs Bunny,
yeah.
Bugs Bunny like comes up and he's like, "Run for your lives, children, for the witch wishes to like cook you and eat you." He says something like that, and the kids like run by the witch, and then they stop and they look at her. They go, "Ah, your mother rides a vacuum cleaner." And I never forgot that as a child. I just thought that was funny. So yeah,
well, clearly,
it's a huge.
You can't meditate, but you can quote cartoons from the 1950s.
Of course, that was our babysitter.
So as we close out this mind-blowing episode about poo,
mind-blowing poo. I know. You know what's funny is we're all over the place. Like 1 minute we're like, "Oh my God, listen to how spiritual and grounding this is," and then I'm like, "Let's talk about poo." We're gonna lose some listeners on this one.
No, I don't think so.
Or we're gonna gain some. You can go either way.
No, but I think for homework tonight, I want everybody to tomorrow morning when you get out of bed and your feet hit the ground, I want you to think about, maybe say to yourself, kind of have like a little conversation with poo in your head. Ask yourself, what day is it? Because this is an actual Pooh quote from Piglet. Pooh says to Piglet, "What day is it?" And Piglet says, "It's today." And Pooh says, "My favorite day."
Oh, so, I like that.
Yeah. So I actually have pajamas. I have Pooh Jays.
Oh my God. Pooh Jays.
I have Pooh Jays with this saying on the top. You made that up actually. Because you saw my PJs, and you're like, they're Pooh Jays, not PJs.
I said that?
Yeah, that was your joke. Take credit for it.
Oh, okay.
Anyway, so just ask yourself, what day is it today? Well, it's today, and it's my favorite day. As soon as your feet hit the ground, and just be present, be mindful of the moment. Hopefully you're crawling out of bed at a time and a place where you can get some morning sunlight on your face from the window as you're getting up, and just be grateful for another day, much like Pooh would. And then go get yourself some honey
or some coffee
or some honey with some coffee in it, or some honey. Some coffee with some honey in it. Is that what I said? Anyway,
I think we get what you mean, but yeah, I mean, just. I personally stand up every day and I'm just grateful to be like, all right, let's go. Here's another day today. Let's see what it brings. And, just be in the moment, even when things come at you that are stressful or they feel stressful, that, remember, it's like, it's just in that moment. And, I don't know. You guys got to get this book. I'm telling you, it's my favorite, I think, out of all the books we've talked about, except for the Pooh one, the What Is Your Pooh Telling You? But anyway, I will put an Amazon link for this book in the footnotes of this episode. And please make sure if you do buy the book that you do click on that Amazon link, because it goes direct to our site. And then Amazon says, thank you. And yeah, I mean, 500 downloads and many, many more to come. We're so excited that you guys are all here with us. And I just, we are just...
This Pooh podcast is going to get us to 600 in like 5 days.
You think so? We'll see. We'll see about
I'm
that.
thinking positive like Pooh.
Positive Pooh. I love it. All right, let's let people get about their day and put them out of their misery by shutting up now. I'm just kidding. But no, anyway, Amy and I are super grateful to be here doing this, and so grateful you're on this journey with us. And of course, we are unbelievably grateful to our Nana that that, as we say, she's driving this whole endeavor for us. So she's always with us as we sit here and talk in spirit, for sure, just cheering us on. But anyway, that's it for this episode of Whiska Chicks. And we know what old Nana would say, Amy.
Be true to yourself.